Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another track guide on Gran Turismo 7, and we are back with a guide at Spa in Group 3 for the current daily race C. So for this combination I am using the Nissan Silhouette. This is a car that is probably the best car for the race conditions and also the time trial. Now we are racing on racing soft tyres for this guide with BOP on and default setup, so make sure you remember that when looking at the lap times. Now this car currently is just insane amount of pace that you can carry through some of the corners, and it's the reason why this car is being used. And it's also for the race extremely good because of the tyre wear on this car is absolutely dominant, probably because the car is so light. So we're going to go through a guide to try and help you get as fast as you can. I spent about 15 minutes on this lap. I didn't spend that long at all. I think I did about 6 or 7 laps. It might have been just over 15 minutes, more like 20 minutes, but yeah, 6 or 7 laps, and managed to get a pretty solid lap in there for the guide to help you lot out. So let's go through with the guide and try and get you as fast as we can around Spa in Group 3. So make sure you take quite a wide line and get on the power super early. This car requires you to treat it like a 4-wheel drive and really get aggressive with your throttle inputs to rotate the car and carry exit speed. So going into turn 1, we're looking for the 100 board on the left hand side, and that is going to be by my braking reference. I'm going to brake ever so slightly past that 100 board. You can see it there, braking inputs going in just past the 100 board, and now we're going to brake in a straight line. Now we're going to start putting a bit of trail braking further in the corner, but we're going to try and rotate this in and get the right hand tyre to skim the curb on the right hand side there and square it off like you would with a 4-wheel drive car. So on the power super early, look at the power going in there and just letting that throttle stay down 100% all the way on the exit to carry the speed all the way down this hill. Now you are revving this car out. You want to get as much revs out of as possible, but make sure you don't hit the limiter with this car. Now into this corner, flat out through here, all you're doing is taking a straight line with the least amount of resistance as possible, just to keep the steering inputs nice and smooth and carry as much speed over the top of the hill. So straight line the curb here. You want to get literally straight over the curb so that you can, again, little inputs on steering wheel. You want to put as little inputs as possible in to carry as much speed as you can. And this is where you can see where this car is so dominant on this combination, carrying extreme speed into the next braking zone. We are looking for the 100 board again. We're going to brake just slightly past that, or dead on it, pretty much dead on it, depending on, in the race conditions with slipstream, you might want to brake a little bit short of it, obviously. So onto the brakes, pretty much level with that 100 board before the curb on the left. And now we're going to use a bit of the curb for the left-hand tyre to widen the line into this apex. So again, you want to get this car right up in onto this curb, and your right-hand tyre should almost be skimming these bollards on the right-hand side. That is what I aimed the right-hand tyre at. So as we let it play there, just skimming them, and then onto the throttle, you can see, to rotate the car. And then a tiny bit of braking input going in here to, again, get the weight transfer back onto the front so that we can keep the car to this left-hand side, because we're going to swing it in over to the left, back into the right, and carry as much speed through this right-hand corner. So you're going to see throttle inputs going in, a little bit of a lift off the throttle possibly here, just to rotate the car in, then back on the throttle, and then right-hand tyre, yet again, getting as close to that far bollard as possible. You almost want to skim that and rotate the car. Now I run a little bit wide here and make a bit of a mistake. You're going to see the ghost behind me catch me up, so I lose about a tenth there on that corner by that little error. But next braking zone, we are going to use the start of the curb for this right hand corner. That's where I use as my reference, braking pretty much dead at the start there. And you're going to try and get this car rotated into this very tight hairpin. So this is off camber corner, so I like to stay nice and tight to the right hand side. So down to second gear, and then once you feel it rotating, upshift to third gear early so that you don't have to do the upshift on the exit. This is a really important thing. You want to be able to stay in third gear. Reduced shifting with this car will gain you a lot of time. Now we're going to use that little gap in the fence as a braking reference before we swing it in. You can see again, we want to swing this car off the curb on the right and into this left-hand apex. And you're going to see again, the bollards, you're almost going to be skimming them. Left-hand tyre up on close as you can to them, almost getting on that green bit of Astro. And that will help rotate the car through the corner as you get back on that power and carry the speed all the way now into the next really fast left-hand corner. So up into this corner, 50 board is a reference. We're going to brake past that 50 board though, and you can see braking inputs going in well past that 50 board. And now we're going to try and carry as much speed into this corner, staying in fourth gear. We're not going to go down to third gear because again, you want to keep this car in one gear as much as possible. Run a little bit wide there, actually ran onto the curb, possibly lost another tenth there, so 2 tenths probably lost so far on this lap. You can see the ghost actually catching me up and overtaking me now with that little bit of a mistake. Now we're going to use the 50 board as a reference for this right hand corner, getting on the brakes just before the 50 board and trying to get it rotated into the apex on the right hand side. And yet again, you want to get this car in as close to this curb as possible and almost clipping these bollards on the right hand side. So yet again, them two bollards, you get very close to them, just get on close to the curb as you can. And again, left hand tyre for this left hand corner is going to get close to the bollards again on this part. So it's all about using as much of the track as possible. You can see very close to the final bollard there, and then powering your way out into this next right hand corner, which again, we're going to use the start of the curb as a reference. I use that as a reference, make sure I'm braking before there, and we're going to downshift to third gear. Now don't go to second gear, stay in third gear, because again, you want to reduce the amount of shifts you do with this car. And right hand tyre onto this curb, you can see, and you're going to basically be putting the throttle in once you feel the grip there. You can see almost throttle going in before we're onto the curb and carrying as much speed. It's like a four-wheel drive car. You want to carry the speed for the exits. So again, into this right hand corner, and this corner you really hardly need to lift it all through. It's basically completely flat out, so you can see the throttle inputs going in there, tiniest little lift there where it obviously goes up into fourth gear, so the gear change loses you a bit of time, and that enables you to keep the throttle completely planted there. So all the way through the corner, flat out now, and this is just completely flat all the way up here. So changing gear a little bit early than what we normally would there, about 147, because it's very easy to hit the limiter on that gear change. And into this fast left-hand corner, completely flat out. You do not need to lift there. Very easy on the racing soft tyres and time trial. And now we're going to use a reference, the 150, but we're going to brake ever so slightly past that or level with it. So you can see as we approach it now, just on the brakes, just past the 150, and that should be pretty much spot on for rotating into this final chicane. So down through the gears. Now I'm going to use first gear for a bit of rotation. Now I have played with this in the race and that as well, and I can't figure out whether it's definitely faster or not, but it seemed to work on this lap. Rotate it into the corner, bit of throttle to get the rotation on, then rotate it in with a bit of brakes into the final part of the corner, and then upshift the second gear before you come out the exit, so you don't have to shift on the exit of the corner. And then keep that throttle down over the line for a 2 minute 12.7. Pretty solid lap. Definitely can do a 12.4 or 5, I think, on this track in this car. Possibly a little bit faster. There is a lot of potential with this car. So let's watch that lap yet again from the chase camera, and you can see what we mean about the four-wheel drive, the way you're driving it, because you can just see how aggressive we are on the throttle there on turn one. Super early on the throttle. So much traction from this car, especially with it being on racing soft tyres. And yeah, try and widen them lines. And I think with the way the gearing is with this car, kind of makes you drive it a bit more like that as well, so that you're maximising the exits of the corners. And again here you can see that extreme speed that this car carries. You can see the acceleration in fifth gear. It's actually not too dissimilar to the Supra in fifth gear, but the Supra in sixth obviously. But yeah, in a slipstream this car has really good pace because of the way the gearing is. So in slipstream this car is going to work a little bit better than the Supra does. But you can see that little mistake there lost me a tenth there where we got onto the curb. You want to try and avoid that, because that will lose you a bit of acceleration on the exit of the curb. But early upshift again, make sure you're coming out the corner in third gear again, pointing that out because it's so important to reduce the amount of times you shift this car. So you can see I'm not changing gear too much. I'm only changing gear when I'm on an acceleration phase on the straight. I'm not mid-corner changing too much. So again, this corner, fourth gear, don't go down to third gear. You can see again, about a foot away from the apex. That lost me another tenth there where I had to run a little bit wide. If I would have got it into that apex a little bit better, would have gained another tenth out of that corner. And again, this right hand corner, clipping the apex there, you can see how close we go to the curb. Again, look how close we are to the curb, onto the curb. And then this right hand corner, you can see again just how close we are to the curb on the right hand side, and that bollard again, super close, using them bollards as references almost. And again here, look how close we are to the bollard, almost hitting that there. That's how close we were. So it shows you the fine lines between getting a lap good or messing a lap up, because that corner there, 1 inch further to the right and that lap would have been over. So yeah, very, very close to being a bit of a ruined lap, but got away with it there. Now into that final corner, you can see again, using that 150 as a reference. You can see how the first gear really does help me with the rotation here. I use it just purely for rotation. Now this is the only place where I'm really going to use first gear, because it really helped almost slide the car through that chicane, and I think that gained me quite a lot of time through there. Over the line, 2 minute 12.7. Pretty happy with that lap. Hopefully it'll help you out. Let me know in the comment section if it does, and I'll be back with more of these guides in the future and videos. Bye everyone.